everybody, my name is Cheri. Welcome to my stamp studio. I'm going to do a quick card with you. It's confession time. So we are, the mini catalog started in July. It was supposed to start in June. Actually, I think it started in August because of there was a little bit of adjustment with it being a new kind of catalog time. And then with, the shipping issues and COVID and stuff, it kind of moved. So I think it started for you guys in August. So, I buy a bunch of stamps and then they sit here. So I still have like 4 maybe little things over here that I have not even touched. So we're to that stage. Now it's November and Christmas is barreling on us and I still have stamps. And one of them is the little squirrel. It's kind of a fall set. Still sitting there. Have not used it. And the other one that I used the very first day, because when I open the box, I always do a card. And I used the little Starbucks Harry Potter drinking pig. Haven't used it since that day. So I count it as used, but it could really be in my stack. So I'm going to try to make some things, so at least I've used them. So today I'm going to start with Welcoming Woods. The great thing about this is I'm going to start kind of transitioning after maybe next week from Christmas things to packaging and things that you can make to give for gifts. So this kind of fits into that because while you could use it to make Christmas cards, not really. It's not really a Christmas card making set, but it's fabulous for putting together, 8 cards maybe and envelopes and giving them to your neighbor, taking them up to the nursing home, giving them to your boss, to people that are kind of ish with giving gifts. Do you give them? Do you not? What do you give them? Or just, doing something nice for somebody because it makes a great just stack of cards that are year round. So it has like good luck, best wishes, happy birthday, celebrate, and just thank you and hello. So you can quickly make some really fun, easy cards and put them together. We have the little acetate boxes, which I will show you in a week or two as I start to show you some gift ideas. Put them together, wrap them up with a ribbon, just have them in your car, teacher gifts, pastors' gifts, pastors' wives' gifts, Sunday school teachers, just a whole slew of people that you can give. Really, I know it shocks us that people don't have cards on hand because we sometimes have way too many, but it's really fun. So I'm going to use this today, and I'm also going to mix it with some of the things from Eden's Garden. So Eden's Garden, the bundle itself, so the stamps and the dies will be in the next catalog that comes out in January, but the papers will not. They are limited edition and they're while supplies last. So I'm going to use the cotton paper, which is really different. We don't have anything like it in the catalog, so it's while supplies last. It's not really tissue. It's cotton paper. I don't even know what that is. It's not, we were hoping it might be a little bit, if you've been around for as long as I have, which is getting up there close to 30 years with Stampin' Up. We used to have mulberry paper. It's not that either. So it's just kind of different. So I kind of had a little bit of a play as much as time would allow me because we're getting ready to go out of town. And then this is the Eden's Garden Designer Series paper, also while supplies last. So it won't be available once the new catalog comes out. So this is not the beautiful side because I'm going to make a masculine card. This is the beautiful side. But like I said, if you're making a gift card, a stack of cards, you could easily do this exact same card, do some masculine, more, if you're doing them for your boss, or even if you're going to give this card to somebody, you could do one that I'm going to do now, do it for the guys in your life, flip it over and use gold and pretty it up a little bit for the women in your life. So let's get started. The colors in the Eden's Garden are what I use then to do my cards. So it's soft succulent and evening evergreen. We've had more than one evergreen in 30 years. So that's how I based my cards. Now I'm going to use one of these stamp pads, and these are in the back of the catalog. I just filmed my very first how-to in my how-to series. I may do one on the how to use these pads because a lot of people don't even know they're there. So let's get going. I'm going to stamp on this succulent piece, and this is 3 3¼ by like 4 1/4. It's a little about the same size as the trees. So I did find out when I stamped on this, very, 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 very long time to dry. So I was kind of okay with it, except I wanted to wrinkle it up and kind of play with it, and it was smearing. And then I still have it on my hands because evergreen is a dark color. So I'm going to kind of do a couple of different things, and we'll see if it works. For one, I wanted the snowflakes, and I stamped the trees first, and then every time I stamped on my snowflakes, it picked back up the green. And we're talking probably 30 minutes in between because I was doing some other stuff. So it doesn't matter if our snowflakes are behind the trees because it's a very faint look. They're over there because I cleaned them off. So I have our white stamp pad, and it still has green on it stuck in there. So I'm just going to fill this with white. And this is much brighter already because when I was stamping it over the top of the trees, it was just picking up, and you can see it's on there. You can wash these out. So I'm not worried about it being on there. But I would stamp these, and the trees had been sitting there for a long time because I kept kind of changing my mind on what I was doing with it. Because, you know, you work with something new, and it was the cotton paper, and I was like, let's see what I can do with this. So let's stamp these snowflakes and just kind of random all around. So that's all we need with the white. Then we're going to take what little there is left on there, fold my card in half. I changed colors, I changed techniques, and then I thought maybe I'll switch to gold and flip it the other way. And then I thought, no, I do want it to be a masculine card because I don't do those a lot. I changed ribbons. And you know, when you do a masculine card, then you're like, do I add embellishments? And I'm like, no, don't add any embellishments. Don't put the gold on there. You just didn't use the beautiful side of the paper. So now don't change and do that. So I'm going to put my stamping pad on here because it's a little bit easier to get a firm impression when you have these giant stamps. So this isn't the largest block that we have, but it is the second largest. So I'm going to ink it with Evening Evergreen. I thought about running it through the embossing folder, but then this doesn't really take anything super fancy. So to just get an embossing folder when you can crinkle the paper up. And okay, so the first time I did this, I did the evergreen on the evergreen cotton paper. And it looked beautiful. I'm going to stand up because this is big. And you have to just kind of press to get all the good impressions. Make sure all those trees catch. So I did evergreen on evergreen, and then I wrinkled it all up, and it all just disappeared. So don't do that. I'll tell you, so you don't have to waste a piece of your paper. And then you can kind of pick it up, and you can see if you got everything because it'll be kind of stuck. And see now at my snowflakes, it's way better this way. So do it this way. But my snowflakes were an afterthought because at first I thought I'm not going to do a winter card, but when you put it on that paper, it does kind of take on a winter effect. So when I crinkled it, it also smeared everywhere. Smeared on the paper, smeared on my hands, just because it takes a while to dry. So that was kind of like my trial run. And I don't want it to be sparkly, but winter, if you live in the Midwest, you know, in the mornings when you wake up and it has kind of like iced a little bit, how beautiful it all is. This is almost gone, but I think I have enough. So this is our clear embossing powder, and I love it, as you can tell. I've used it all up. I think it was our last retreat. No, it wasn't the last. Maybe it was a spring retreat where we did it. So it's going to stick to everything on here. And when I had done this previous, that's how long it took it to dry. It had been, like I said, at least a half an hour, and the ink was still wet and still stuck to that on there. So it does take a long time. Now the cotton paper is really super flimsy, so when you go to heat set it, it has to be on top of something. So I just put it on top of this, and then I held on to it because you don't want to heat on your table because this is kind of a paint stripper, and you could strip your paint right off the table. So this is our heat tool. It's going to be really easy for you to see it change colors because it's white. So just hold it in one spot, and as it starts to change, see it change there, just move it. Now your snowflakes almost disappear because it's super light. But this paper, if it didn't have the strength of even just this other piece behind it, just blows everywhere. So I'm eager to see what other demonstrators are finding to do with this paper. I do have a couple of ideas. I'm doing an online class, so I have a couple of ideas for that, but they used the dies. So this is the paper without the dies that it's designed to go with. But this way with the clear, it keeps the pretty design because the stamps beautifully. So you can see like the bark on the trees. Super pretty. And it has stuck itself to the embossing powder that was still on the paper. So that's all pretty. Now I just want this to be like a winter birthday card. So if you know somebody and their birthday's in December or January, I'm just going to take the happy birthday out of the set with the really faint little snowflakes that I have in here. Just add it in black. You could do it in evergreen, but that would have required for me to get my stamp cleaner back out of the table because originally I stamped it on there and you couldn't really read it in the evergreen. So, you know, sometimes that's the story that we have is determined by something other than, whoops, just art. It's determined by laziness. So I'm going to take, see, this would be pretty. And you could emboss those trees in gold if you're doing it and you want to be a little fancy. It would be a really pretty winter wedding card because I think the gold would be pretty. Just leave the snowflakes off and do gold trees. But I'm not doing that. I'm going to cover this beautiful gold paper, and I admit it pains me. It pains me something severe. This is our white twine, and it's in the annual catalog. Stick it here, and I'm just going to wrap it around. So it's a very nice, simple, masculine looking card. You know, a lot of nursing homes this time of year, they like to get blank cards. A lot of the military organizations take blank cards. That way they have them on hand. And if somebody doesn't give visitors at a nursing home, then the staff there can fill in the card and drop them by the rooms when somebody has an event, you know, birthday or something. Come on. Stick that there. So now we have that. So this way you're able to add the twine, but it doesn't have a bow. And I do want to make sure that it's going to hold it. So I'm going to make sure my adhesive goes right there. In my how-to series, I've had a couple of people, how to use your seal. That's coming up. I have a hard time because I'm getting a lot of requests for how-tos on what order to put them in. So sometimes it's probably going to fall down to the ones that are easier to make. Because I was going to do how to use the Stamparatus next, but how to use a seal is a little bit easier of a video to do than how to use the Stamparatus. So here's this. So you can see it's got texture. I'm going to take the bottom, and this is how you know it's not quite tissue. It's a little bit harder to tear, but this will make it look a little bit more organic. So just tear it. Don't worry about if it's straight. It looks better if it's not. Then I'm going to take a piece of this. My other one has the straight because obviously until you've torn it twice, one of them is going to be straight. Again, just tear it. And it tears straight. I would rather it not, but it just kind of tears straight. Then I'm going to put a strip down this part of the card of my adhesive. I'm going to tuck this piece down under the ribbon. Go ahead and tear this. And the great thing is you can be pretty rough with it because I want it to look organic. I want it to look, and there's a shinier side and a muted side. I'm going to use the shinier side on this because it's a little bit brighter of an evergreen. And then I'm just going to kind of lay it and smash it. And twist it. And then up here too, I want to make sure this is torn up here. I don't want those straight edges. I want the top of this to be straight and everything else to kind of have that organic feel. I should have done it before I put it on there. But the nice thing about the seal, not the Seal Plus, but just the regular seal, is it doesn't stick until it's stuck. And then you can get those ridges in there. Now, first I'm going to put some adhesive here in the middle to hold that middle part where the design is. Let's stick this in here. So it goes just under that first bit of twine. There we go. And then, I know this is going to kill some of you. You can lay yours flat if you want to lay yours flat. Sometimes I look up at my phone like you guys can see me. You can't see me, and nobody's watching. So now on these, I'm just going to kind of put this on the corners. And kind of smush those in. You can see how this paper has some like life and movement to it. You wouldn't be doing this with regular cardstock or even with designer series paper. It's too stiff. But this is fun to play with. I don't want that corner to go under there. But again, it's sealed. So we have that move time. Pick this up. And I just kind of played with my other one until it was all kind of down. Kind of wrinkly. Kind of like this had kind of got blown in the wind. Just gonna smudge it a little bit. There you go. Could not be any simpler. You can see that it has that nice little glisten, which if you are lucky to live someplace where you have some glistening mornings on your way, it has that feel of there's some frost on the trees, maybe a little bit of ice. Here's my other one. They're all going to turn out about the same. This one, you can see, it has the trees are a little bit lighter because the ink had started to dry, but every time I lifted off, it was pulling green ink with it, so it was not most certainly dry all the way, but really fun. Really fun to play with some new stuff. Grab it. The pack of paper comes with a lot of paper, the cotton paper. It's 12 by 12, so you get a lot of it. So, you know, give yourself one sheet of each color and play with it. See if you can color on it, if you can use blends on it, if you can use Stella on it. I haven't tried really much of anything with it. I've die cut with it. That's pretty much it. But that's how you kind of learn some new techniques. When we have something new that nobody's used before, be the first one to discover something that you can do with it. It's a lot of fun. So everybody have a great day, and I will catch you back here later.